Hello again, Mark from Boat, Wisconsin. Today we have our 89 Sea Ray in the driveway. We're going to go over a problem we're having with shifting. It seems to be a common problem from reading on the internet, but when we shift in and out of gear, the boat dies. In our case, it won't start again until we locate the shift interrupter switch. There's a little button on here. When you shift, the button pushes in, kills the motor for a split second so you're able to shift. In our case, the button was sticking in, so every time we shifted we had to open the engine hatch, pull the button back out, and then the boat would start again, run fine until we tried to shift. So today I'm going to dive in. I did find a used one, replace the one that's on the boat, and kind of explain how they work. So again, this is a 89 Sea Ray 220 DA. We have a 5.7 Mercruiser in it. I'll quick show you where that switch is located, and then we'll start taking things apart. And I'll try to show you better how it works. It's right in between the linkage. You can see that little ball that was on the switch. So first thing I'm going to do is take the linkage off. You can take it off without adjusting it. Just be careful when you do remove it not to turn these little brass knobs here, where this one happens to be plastic. But the upper one comes out with a 7/16 nut. This side just has a cotter pin, and then that pin pulls out. Same thing back here. I have had this apart recently, adjusting the shift cables. A lot of good videos on YouTube about that, so I won't go into detail there. But I'll just start taking it apart and give you a better understanding how it's working or not working. So here's a little better view. I just took off the upper cable for now. I can kind of show you how this works. This is the shift cable going to the lower unit. Right now I have it in reverse. This typically won't work on land or on a garden hose. It has to be in the water under pressure. But I can show you how it operates. When you're in reverse and you shift back to neutral, just for a split second, that arm will move and trigger that button to be pushed. Now what that does is, the best way I can explain it is, if you're driving a manual car, you can't pull it out of gear unless you push the clutch in. There's too much torque and pressure on the gears to just freely disengage. On a boat, there's no clutch. So when you're in gear, there's a lot of tension on the gears in the outdrive, pressure on the prop. So the only way to get it out of gear is to kill the motor. And what this does is, when this engages and pushes that button in, it kills the motor just for a split second to take the pressure off. And that allows you to shift into neutral. Now the problem we're having, probably not as common as the typical problems, but sometimes either that switch just doesn't work, meaning when the button pushes in, it's not cutting power to the engine. Other times your cables are just out of adjustment, and when you shift, it's triggering that switch for too long, or maybe that arm that folds down is getting stuck. Sometimes you can fix that with a simple cable adjustment. Other times you need an entirely new cable. In our case, like I said, that button that gets pushed in sticks in. This boat was sitting for about 4 years, so who knows what's going on inside of there. But we did find a used one. They are hard to find. It's a discontinued item. Your local boat dealer will have an update kit where all the brackets, all the cables, everything's brand new and updated. I believe it runs about, I found them for $360. If you want to save a whole lot of money, you can look around on Amazon, eBay. I happen to know a guy who works on a lot of boats and had a few of these laying around. so I'm replacing it with another used one, but I know the used one works. We'll just do one more shot here before I remove it. It is simple to remove, kind of tedious. We have 2 screws that we take out here, and down here is the electrical connection, 2 Phillips head screws, and that's about it. After that it'll pull off. It can be a little tricky to get this wire out of here. It feeds back behind the plate. So here's our 2 switches. This is the new used one I have, and this is the original one on the boat. I'll show you what was happening with this one up close and how I know it's bad. Just gonna bend this tab out of the way. I know the switch is junk, so I'm not worried about wrecking it now. But when this button was pushing in, it's not quite coming out all the way. See, if I pull on it, it'll spring out another 1/8 of an inch or so. I don't know if there's a spring in there or what's happening, but when it got triggered and pushed in, that's as far as it would come out. So when I was on the water, put it in reverse to back away from the pier, the boat died. I already knew this was the problem because, like I said, we've been working on this boat non-stop for 3 weeks. Everything else was replaced. So I opened the hatch, pulled this button out again, and it fired right up. Hard to believe this is enough to leave you stranded on the water. We got the new switch installed. I'm just going to show you an easy way to test it to make sure it's working. I got my test light kind of propped against the side of my coil. Have it grounded to the battery. So right now it's lit up. I'm going to go over here, push this arm down, engage that switch, and when I do that, you'll see it's cutting power to the engine. Just for a second, just enough to take the torque off and allow you to shift into gear. So that's about it for this video. Got everything back together, start to finish. It's about a half an hour project. Not very difficult if you know what you're looking for. Thanks for watching. Hope you subscribe to the channel. One of our next videos is going to focus on relocating the battery switch. I'll explain why and how on the next video.